if you're new to Google Ads, keywords are um, keywords are things that you can think of as getting triggered. So when someone does a search on Google, a keyword gets triggered in an account and then it shows an ad. Well, a negative keyword is just the opposite. So someone makes a search, Google checks all the negative keywords, and they're like, oh, that word was in their search phrase. Do not show the ad, right? That's how negative keywords work. And that's why they're so freaking important. Now, I typically, this is actually almost the same slide I used in my last webinar because I always go over negative keywords. They're very important. I say locations, be careful. Here's what I mean by that. So what I typically recommend doing is add any like major city that's more than, let's say, 300 miles away from you as a negative keyword. So that means you could have 500, 600, 700 negative keywords. Typically with charter bus stuff, I don't like to do that because, like I just said, that inquiry the company I was working with got from San Francisco to I think it was like Phoenix or Arizona or something. If I had Phoenix or Arizona as a negative keyword, then they wouldn't have seen that ad. So charter buses are weird in that way because many times it's a very long haul they are doing, and those are going to be probably the best jobs you can get, right? It could be a $6,000-$10,000 rental. So we don't want to block. We typically don't want to block locations. Definitely locations outside of the U.S. or outside of the continental United States, and maybe if you're in Los Angeles, you can block like cities on the East Coast. But that's something to keep in mind. But if you were in LA, you would not want to use San Diego as a negative keyword, or San Francisco, or Sacramento, or Las Vegas, or Reno, or Salt Lake City, or any of those areas, because that could block a potential good search. So then competitor names, this is a huge one, huge. Add all of your competitors to the negative keyword list. And here's why. Because I get this question a lot, well, don't I want my ad shown when someone's looking for my competitor? Actually, no, you don't. Because what if your ad shows, they click on your ad, and by the way, for charter bus and large vehicles, the cost per click is typically $6 to $12. All right. So this is what happens. They search for your competitor, they see your ad, but they think it's your competitor. They click on the ad, they call you, only to find out that you aren't them. And so not only did you waste your employees' time, you wasted money. And sure, is there a chance like maybe they were just looking for a quote? And maybe you can say, hey, and this is a whole nother thing. Your sales reps should be trained if someone's looking for another company to say, hey, I can help you with a quote if you'd like. But many times they're not looking for a quote. Many times they've already booked and they have a question. Okay, so that's why I don't like bidding on competitors. So add them as negatives. And if you have a competitor who is like Joe's Limo, you want to add Joe, Joe's, and then Joe apostrophe S, all as negative keywords, because Google only blocks the exact word how it's written, of course, because that makes them a hell of a lot more money. So super important, guys. Add all of your competitors. Common negative. If you just Google right now, common negative keywords, you're going to see there's in the top few listings on Google, there's lots of very common negatives. Obviously, you need to look through the list before you just apply it. But I believe there's somewhere there's a list of like, I think almost 1,500. And so go in and add those. Obviously, you want to look through it very carefully before you just add it, because that's one thing I found that can tank an account is if you put the one wrong negative keyword and all of a sudden you're not getting results anymore. So important thing to remember. And then airport names and codes. This one's kind of like locations, to where you have to be careful because you don't want to block anything, especially if you're doing charter buses. Many times they're very long haul trips. So um, how far out should you go? It's really hard to say for me. But typically I'm very careful about adding too many, um, I don't add any cities nearby as negative keywords.